The jury in the YNW Melly murder trial is deadlocked, which means they're struggling to all agree unanimously to a verdict of not guilty or guilty. The jurors wrote in on a note today saying, "What if we can't come to a decision?" Everyone is stuck on which side they choose. Then the judge John Murphy brought the jury back into the courtroom and read them the Allen charge, which refers to a set of instructions urging jurors to reach a verdict. Today was the first full day of the jury deliberating. It didn't really go well. They asked a few questions that didn't make sense. It just didn't look too good. Hit subscribe right now. Let's get into this video.
So the jury had a question. The question reads, where can we find the call logs of the 9807 number? We hear Mr. Kelly testimony, Trayvon Glass, Cortland Sutherland.
They said Courtney Sutherland. Pretty sure that person did not testify. So this jury's a little confused.
My notes, am I missing something on Courtney Sutherland?
No, Your Honor, there were 27 witnesses that testified, no one by that name. For the statement of Cortland Henry.
Oh, they're definitely thinking about Cortland Henry, but how did they get the name that wrong? They've sat through 5 weeks of a trial and heard the name Cortland Henry probably 75 times.
Read them, a list of the witnesses that testified, ask who they name.
Any suggestions from the defense?
Maybe ask what they think this Courtney Sutherland testified to, and based on the basis of the testimony, we could probably figure out which witness it was.
I would suggest he respond back that there is no witness by the name of Courtney Sutherland.
Counsel, I would just say, please clarify Courtney Sutherland by that name. Is that all right with the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes.
What about the call log?
So that is on States 63.
How long to get Mr. Kelly's testimony ready?
Probably not till tomorrow.
Probably not till tomorrow. And on Trayvon Glass, you're ready to go on that, correct?
Yes, Judge.
On the question, where can we find the call logs of the 9807 number I indicated, please refer to State's Exhibit number 63. And below that it says, can we hear Mr. Kelly testimony of Trayvon Glass, Courtney Sutherland? I said, please clarify, Courtney Sutherland did not testify. Trayvon Glass's testimony can be read back today. Michael Kelly's testimony needs to be prepared to read back probably tomorrow. Any objections?
No.
Definitely confusing how they mistake someone's name completely that didn't exist in the trial. Probably gonna read back Trayvon Glass's testimony real quick.
Courtney Sutherland should have been Cortland Henry. Trayvon Glass, we would like to have his testimony read back. Michael Kelly, we would like to have his testimony read back.
With respect to the reading back of the testimony, our position is that testimony is comprised not only of its substance. When we are in a fortunate situation such as this, where the entire testimony is captured on video camera, we think it would be more appropriate for the jury to either be told to rely upon their recollection, because even though their recollection would be incomplete, it would be comprehensive. They'll be recalling not only what was said, but the manner in which the person testified.
Oh, okay. A good point.
Like Trayvon Glass in particular, who was hiding behind the monitor for half of his testimony, and then hiding deliberately behind his dreadlocks for the rest of his testimony. I think his testimony is going to look a whole lot better on paper than it did when it was delivered. The best evidence of his testimony was captured on videotape, and the jury would be able to see it because it would be devoid of its context, but be shown.
And the way he answered that everyone that was in the car was the same people that were in the car when they left the studio, there's a lot of emotion to that answer. Like, he seemed annoyed answering that one, so I think that's a big point there.
Mr. Glass and Kelly both came in the same question, and subsequent to that, we received a note that indicates that there may be factions that are beginning to calcify. We can only speculate as to what the jury is thinking and saying, but I think it's unequivocal. The substance of Mr. Glass's testimony favored the state. It is also unequivocal that Mr. Kelly made some concessions, that essentially his analysis had defects and he really couldn't draw the conclusions that he was attempting to draw. So one can surmise that maybe that might be more favorable to the defense. If we have a jury that's now divided into factions, and one side is sending for information that might support their argument, another side is sending for information that might support their argument, then I think it would be unfair if we allow one side of that faction to get their ammunition and wait another 24 hours before the other side is able.
Yeah, so basically Mr. Kelly's testimony won't be ready for until tomorrow, but they could read back Trayvon Glass's testimony today. Trayvon's testimony was kind of in favor of the state, obviously, and Mr. Kelly's was in favor of the defense, so he's saying he doesn't want them to be 24 hours apart, because then it's a whole 24-hour period of them thinking about Trayvon Glass's testimony.
So we think it would be prejudicial because we got both requests in the same questionnaire, or same question shown back as opposed to be read back. And secondly, we think that it should be done at the same time, so that both sides, assuming they're provoked for different sides, are equipped with the ammunition they need when they go back and deliberations continue.
Glasses, read back. My understanding is testimony is relatively short. I'm going to read that back now. She's working on Mr. Kelly, and when that's available, I'll show you Mr. Kelly as well. You're good.
Thanks, sir.
You bring jury.
that a readback cannot reflect the matters of demeanor, tone, or voice, that the jury be reminded a readback is not a complete accounting of the testimony because it doesn't account for manner, tone, voice.
It'd be pretty nice if they could get rid of the goddamn AC unit that you can hear in the background at all times.
Particularly with respect to Mr. Glass, hiding behind the monitor and behind his ear, we think that it's important that the jury be reminded that tone, manner, and comportment during testimony are also important in their assessment of credit.
Live stream, not in evidence, to play back to jury. I think there's a difference. That's first thing. Secondly, regarding the witness, my recollection was you said he's hiding behind it. My understanding is you asked him, or somebody asked him a question about it, and he said he's blind in one eye. I thought that was the issue. He was blind in his left eye. But regardless, I'm sure it's in the transcript.
He was not blind in that eye. That was because the camera was angled from that way.
Question: when you got to the house gate at Melly's house, who was inside your vehicle, the red Mitsubishi? Answer: same people you've seen get in the car. Question: by your testimony, Kobe, AD, Tay, and yourself? Answer: yes. Question: okay, so still 4 people. Answer: still 4 people.
That's the bombshell statement right there. But he answered that looking very annoyed. I think that's what Melly's team wanted to get across, the emotion and how he answered in the tone, but they weren't able to do that because that statement completely contradicts what Adrian Davis said. First look at Melly today. He's looking a little bit more wired.
Thank you.
Those phones, they've been quite the headache in this case. And so, yeah, I think it's just common sense, unless he's trying to hide something, why not turn over that phone?
It says, are we allowed to have Apple Watches? Someone has one.
One of them got an Apple Watch.
What if we can't come to a decision? Question mark. Everyone is stuck on which side they chose. Signed by the 4 persons.
What? They just said, what if we can't come to a decision? Everyone's stuck on their own sides. Oh, there might be a hung jury. I had a feeling this was going to happen and there was going to be a few people that thought differently than everyone else, like 3 to 5 of them.
My understanding of how Apple Watch works, at least how mine works, is that there has to be some proximity to a phone for it to provide access to it. I don't know if I'm wrong.
Their version said no.
All right, so I guess we need to require that. If we identify who it is, we just retrieve it and keep it moving. But it doesn't say necessarily bring them out and single them out and expose them as a snitch. And I think we're jumping the gun by suggesting that if we find that somebody had an Apple Watch, they need to be removed from the room. The Apple Watch needs to be removed from the room. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so we concur with that.
So neither side wants to remove the juror that had the Apple Watch. And apparently another juror, like, snitched on them. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gotten involved if I was a juror, but...
Would be for the court to inquire if anybody does have an Apple Watch. When they go back to the room, please give it to Gary, as opposed to them being cascaded in front of the public.
I still need to know, though, if somebody has a watch and they give it to Gary,
Who it is.
I need to know, make sure they haven't used it.
They're obviously trying to make sure this guy didn't use the internet and look at anything or talk to anyone through email or on his Apple Watch or anything.
And so, in order to preserve our objection, I would not propose that, but I would move forward on that basis.
I'm editing this right now real quick. I wanted to explain why he's moving for a mistrial, because the jury wanted Trayvon's testimony to be read back and they got it instantly pretty much. And then they withdrew and didn't want Mr. Kelly's testimony anymore. They heard Glass's but not Kelly's now. So now the defense is moving for a mistrial.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There's a motion for mistrial. Stand trigger.
I want to make sure I understand. A motion for mistrial is based on the jurors rescinding their request.
That's the way I understand.
Well, it's based on the fact that we did not provide them the two statements at the same time, and now a request has been made to rescind, the request to see one of them has been rescinded.
Ellie's team's third motion for a mistrial that's probably going to get denied, but they're not too happy about that being read.
It's the fact that the court denied our motion to read them at the same time, and now that has resulted in them rescinding with a request for one. So that's the basis.
Motion denied. All right, so what I'm going to do then is
Motion denied instantly.
it states, what if we can't come to a decision, question mark. Everyone is stuck on which side they've chosen. Are you telling me, both sides telling me that they interpret that the jury is deadlocked? It doesn't say that to me. It says, you know, what if we can't? It doesn't say we can't come to a decision.
I think they are deadlocked. I disagree with the judge. He's saying that what if it happens like in the future, like what if in a day or 2 or 3 days that we're deadlocked and no one can or come to a decision. I think they're already saying they're already deadlocked. Like that's the way that's worded.
We're stuck in our respective camps. So that's the declaration of deadlock.
They agree, it's an indication there that much.
So if both sides agree, this is interpreted as a deadlock and they're stuck. Is that what you're telling me? Both sides agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then I'm going to read the Allen charge. I mean, if not, I'm not modifying it. That's a standard that's been around for 40, 50 years.
The judge just said he's going to read them the Allen charge instructions, which is a set of instructions tries to help a deadlocked jury to get through it and come to a decision, pretty much. That's what that is. And he's not going to modify any of it because I think it's been around for like 50 years or something. So
Are we allowed to have Apple Watches? Someone has one. Does anyone have an Apple Watch? Yes or no? In their possession? I asked the question, does anyone have one? No. I see everybody raising their hands or several waving their hands showing they don't. All right, there's no Apple Watch.
So they didn't have an Apple Watch, or they're lying. Whoever saw one was tripping and it wasn't an Apple Watch.
Jury deadlock 4.1. I know that all of you have worked hard to try to find a verdict in this case. It might make it hard to see all sides of it. We are all aware that it's legally permissible for a jury to disagree. There are two things a jury can lawfully do: agree on a verdict or disagree on the facts of the case. There is nothing to disagree about on the law. The law is as I told you. If you have any disagreements about the law, I should clear them up for you now. That should be my problem, not yours. If you disagree over what you believe the evidence showed, then only you can resolve that conflict, if it is to be resolved. I have only one request of you. By law, I cannot demand this of you, but I want you to go back to the jury room, then taking turns, tell each of the other jurors about any weaknesses of your own position. You should not interrupt each other or comment on each other's views until each of you have had a chance to talk. After you have done that, if you simply cannot reach a verdict, then return to the courtroom and I will declare this case mistrial and will discharge you with my sincere appreciation for your services. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now retire and continue with your deliberations.
That's so intense, dude. If there's a mistrial, that it will be ridiculous. I basically watched this live today, and literally 5 minutes ago, the judge sent the jury home for the day, and they're going to be doing this every single day. So I think even on the weekend, they're deliberating.
And we'll be on, let's say, a half-hour notice. Is that good for everybody?
Okay with that.
I think he just said they're going to give out a half-hour notice. So if there is a verdict, they're going to give out a half-hour notice to both sides and be like, you have a half hour to be here for the verdict to be read. All right, that's it for day 18. It looks like we pretty much have a deadlocked jury, which could result in a mistrial. That would be fucking wild. I think they'll get through it and they'll figure it out, and one of the sides will succumb to the rest. Sadly, that's how it kind of goes because it has to be unanimous. So say there's like 3 out of the 12 that are saying he's not guilty. They're going to slowly just succumb and say, all right, fuck it, he's guilty. Kind of crazy how that works, but that's our court system right there. Yeah, I'll keep coming there. Subscribe right now if I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Peace out.